afternoon. Welcome to episode 4 of Career Conversations. I'm delighted to have a good friend of mine here from Redstone Federal Credit Union, Jonathan Fowler. How you doing, Jonathan?
Man, I'm fabulous. So good to see you.
That's excellent. Yeah. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into our topic. So, Jonathan, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about your background and what you do?
For sure. So I work at Redstone Federal Credit Union. We're a credit union and financial institution. Credit unions are a little different than banks. Credit unions are owned by our customers that we call members, so it's a little bit of a difference there. And I work in the community relations department of Redstone Federal Credit Union and focus a lot on financial education. So we try to teach our community, I always say K through 180, however old you live, on finances. And our three big things is we try to teach people how to save their money, how to share their money, right, or their time in the community, and how to spend their money wisely. So,
got you. The 3 S's.
The 3 S's, yeah.
Save, share, and spend.
Yeah, I probably said those in different ways. So.
As long as
save, spend, share.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So, Jonathan, as far as you getting into a career with like banking and finance, how did you end up at the credit union, and what's your educational background?
So my educational background, I finished up with a marketing degree at Alabama A&M, and I was doing landscaping at that time. I loved working with my hands, loved working outside, but I kind of needed a job that was a little bit more consistent and also had insurance. Type 1 diabetic, so I needed insurance.
Right.
So I had a buddy that worked at a bank, and he asked me, he knew I was looking for a job that was consistent with insurance, and he said he can get me an interview. And so I was like, let's go for it. Bought a $4 suit from the thrift store, knocked out that interview, right? A couple years later, my degree was in marketing. I wasn't really doing a lot of stuff in marketing. I saw a job open up at the credit union, and so I ended up putting in for that job, grabbing my $4 suit from the thrift store, got that job. So
knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I guess you could say you've kind of grown within the company, and it started out, I think that I know you're a people person, and I think that the thing about careers is there's got to be a blend between what you're good at, what you like, and kind of what your personal skills are. So I think that most people would think with a bank, is he doing like accounts, is he doing loans? And so community relations I think it's cool because it's kind of similar to what I do here, but you're with the credit union. So I know that some presentations that we've worked together on, you like to talk about financial literacy and you do financial education. So what does that term mean, financial literacy, for students that are watching, and kind of how does that tie into them choosing a career?
For sure. So, a lot of times I saw you was at wellness events and career fairs, and a lot of times we're talking about careers at the credit union, and a lot of times people think it's just tellers, right? And our tellers are amazing. That's like but that's not the only jobs that we have there. Or member service reps. We also have, I always say we have artists at the credit union, right? Graphic designers. We have a marketing team. We have people that are on the phones. Maybe they're not that great in person with someone helping with their account, but they're on the phones all day doing that. We have ITMs now. It's just all kind of different jobs at the credit union. And with community relations, we do a lot of events. We support local events, community events, and again, I love to talk and I love people, and so I think that's why I kind of was able to get this role because of my networking that I did in the past, and in volunteering or whatever, even jobs too. Again, every job that you apply for, usually they look at your credit report. They do a small credit report on you. So if you're working at a financial institution, you definitely have to have good credit, or good finances and know how to spend your money wisely.
Right.
Financial literacy, and we always say it's financial wellness, right? Your health. You got to keep your health in check. If not, then you can get out of shape. Same thing with your finances. Everybody, the one thing that everybody has in common is they would love money, they want money, but not everybody, or they need money, but not everybody knows how to spend it correctly.
Or manage it correctly.
Or manage it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so we try to go in and really just try to help people with their finances. And it's not one of those things where it's a one-all. There's a one way to do everything, and so we try to teach different ways for people to spend their money wisely, how to save it, and then at some point give back, share, volunteer in the community. So.
Absolutely. So I know that one thing that I want to know, because I don't think I've ever asked you this before, as far as like the process of you getting to the credit union, I know you knew somebody, so networking is important. We'll talk about that later. But in any other like arenas, did you ever do any type of like job shadowing or internship just for your particular pathway?
For my particular job, it's hard to say that I did something exactly what I'm doing, but I did when I was in college. I was student teaching, and I did a lot of volunteering. So I helped out at Boys and Girls Clubs. I helped with soccer camps, basketball camps at either a community organization or at my church, and all these skills, like a lot of times I was giving my time. I wasn't really getting paid for those things, but it paid off in the long run because I was volunteering, and I think that's kind of job shadowing wise that helped me. I never had like a job where it was like just this is your internship, but I've had a ton of different jobs, like I mentioned earlier, and I think each one of those jobs, staying with it, a lot of people, students, you hear it all the time. They're like, I'll ask questions. I'm like, who in here has a job? And people raise their hands. Sometimes kids are kind of embarrassed to tell where they're working.
Or they're not sure, like, I volunteer, but I don't, or,
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, too, I hear, like, one student was like, well, I work at a fast food restaurant, and they're kind of embarrassed about it. But I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that fast food restaurant is a huge chain. They're known across the world sometimes, and if they trust you behind a cash register, then guarantee you come to Redstone and you have those skills behind a cash register, then that'll help you above other competition, right?
Right.
And then if you add volunteerism, right, and volunteering, give your time to your community, that's a whole other thing too that you're adding on there, as well as education too, and that's a big part also.
What I want students to remember is, kind of like your example of what you've done. It's not like you had an internship that was like, all right, today Jonathan's going to do this because eventually he wants to do that, but you were always around people and you ended up in a job in community relations.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's never wrong to try things. So if that's working at Burger King, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, wherever. I worked at Chick-fil-A in high school, and ultimately I didn't become like a restaurant manager or anything, but I needed those people skills to do what I do here,
Absolutely.
right? You needed the people skills that you gained from volunteering and working those jobs. So my encouragement to students is try different things because you'll always learn something from any job that you have. Even if you don't like it, you can gain some motivation to do something else, or you can pull on the experience from that job. So I think you're an excellent example of that because it's kind of like a lot of different experiences led you to where you are now.
Absolutely.
So, and I don't think you regret that. I think it's something that you can look back and say, hey, this is part of my journey.
There's a lot of things I regret, but not that. But I'm kind of with you. I think that like we always tell people to become comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. If you're always hanging out with the same people, you're never going to grow. You're never going to learn, and you may just stay in the same spot all the time, right? I do presentations, speeches, and in front of, sometimes it's from 5 people to like thousands, right? The first time I ever did that, I was just so nervous, right? But you get through it. The next time I went in there, I was like, all right, I've done this once, I can do it again. And now you just, it's just one of those things. You become comfortable with that uncomfortableness, right?
Right.
I think that's what we're called to do,
Yeah. One thing that we try to work on, and when I do presentations, and I know you've talked about it before, is, we talk about hard skills and technical skills. Can you do your job? Are you able to relate? Can you do the math? Can you do the science? But the soft skills are something that I know a lot of, not only like young students, but even some people just lack. So talk about the ones that are maybe most important in your job and in your life that you've seen that have helped you at work as far as soft skills.
I think, Reggie, Reggie Reeves in our HR, we always talk about at events that a smile is contagious.
Yeah.
And it is. I start smiling, you're smiling, we're like, why are we smiling? I don't even know this guy. Well, I do know this guy, but like I smile over here, whatever. It's one of those contagious things. And I think, if you're an introvert, like I'm an extrovert, I'm talking to a wall. If you're an introvert, start smiling, start talking, get out of your comfort zone. But I think some of those soft skills is just stepping out and getting to know someone. Being able to, be on time. I think that's a huge skill too. Like you're reliable. Maybe you're not the best at a job, but if you're showing up every day on time, then you can learn it, right?
They can count on you too to be there.
That means more in my mind, But I think a lot of it is just that, those people skills is just being able to like talk to folks, and a lot of that starts with, if you're only hanging out with one group of people, when you get a job, if you want to work for a big organization, there's going to be a lot of different people at that organization, and I guarantee you can find something in common with somebody there if you if you step outside of that box.
Absolutely, and I think that really makes me think of my experience lately because I've been going through Leadership Huntsville, the Connect program. So a lot of young professionals from different industries trying to get together to make Huntsville better. And so yesterday our topic was like diversity, inclusion, and equity. And so I think it's really important because I guess the first thing people might think of when you say diversity is like just race, right?
Yeah.
But you got to think about there's people with different like health backgrounds,
Yeah.
people that have disabilities, there's people who speak different languages from different like cultures. So I think when you're able to mix that up and when you're able to expand that, you're going to be successful at work because you've had those experiences with different people. And at the credit union, only one type of person doesn't come in there, right? Because we're talking about money. A lot of different people come in there. So I think being able to relate to folks that look different and that are different, very important.
Yeah. And if you've handled, like, again, you're right, like any job I've had, like whether it be at a restaurant, at a retail store, at the credit union, in the community, you have customers or members that are coming in, and not everybody's the same. So sometimes you may have some of those that are a little, you have to handle a situation where they're a little fired up about something, right?
Yeah.
And if you haven't been around people or watched people, how they handle those things, then you could really make or break that, all right? But if you are watching and you know how, okay, well, that's so-and-so, I know this is how I'm going to calm them down or whatever it is. Like again, you know those folks, then you can actually find a commonality and then help them with their issue. Talk them down and then help them with their issues.
So I think that, you being a seasoned professional, I don't think you're old, but you got
I am seasoned.
You got some experience. What's one thing that, if you could go back and be in high school again, what's some advice that you would give to high school students now? Because I believe hindsight's 20/20, and with the knowledge and wisdom that you have now as an adult, what's something that you would tell them to focus on?
Oof. So I would definitely say the things that benefited me that I did and I wish I would have done more is probably volunteering. I was kind of made to do some of that because my parents, their jobs, that's what they did. They did a lot of volunteering. I probably would have done more, and I moved around a lot, and so I moved my freshman year back to Huntsville, went to Bob Jones, the old Bob Jones, but I went there. And so I didn't really, I was thrown into a brand new school. My ninth grade, you're already kind of, in ninth grade, I'm like, who am I? Yeah. Right. So I think that, I don't know if I'd change anything about my career because I think being thrown into an uncomfortable situation, I was talking to whoever. And a lot of times in my mind, I'd look at somebody and be like, I don't know if I have anything in common with them, but that person's talking to me. Then I start talking to him, I'm like,
I'm gonna talk back.
I got a lot of stuff in common with this person that I thought I didn't,
Right.
But I think if, going back, if I could change anything, which I wouldn't, or something that I do more, it probably would be like volunteering more. And I had jobs. I had jobs since I was 12, so I definitely would get a job, and stay with that. But I think if I knew like what I wanted to be in high school, then I may like have reached out more to somebody that like, let me go see if this is really what I want to do.
Right.
My parents had, and my teachers, I would probably not have thought about doing this, but back then, but I wish I would have maybe asked, okay, like, I'm thinking about being in physical therapy, right? That's what I went to school for at first, and that didn't work out, but maybe I can go like sit in at TOC and just see if that's something I really want to do. And that's something I may have done, but I definitely would volunteer, have a job, and just get out of your comfortable zone.
Well, Jonathan, I appreciate it. I think, we covered a lot, and, I'll be able to get students in touch with you if they need more information about the credit union.
Absolutely.
And I know that Madison City partners with you guys. We've got a branch over, at Bob Jones, and, maybe we'll get some more soon. So thank you guys for joining again here on Career Conversations, and until next time, we'll see you.